Ever heard the phrase born under a curse? Most of us think of it as a legend. But what if those so-called curses were real, and the people who lived with them actually existed? Their bodies defied logic, terrified doctors, and left even scientists completely speechless. These were humans who carried what many believed were true curses, but behind every shocking appearance was a story of survival, pain, and sometimes fame. So stay with us, because we're about to reveal 15 real people whose cursed bodies you won't believe ever existed. Number 15. Mary Ann Bevan. Circumstances transformed Mary Ann Bevan's appearance after she developed acromegaly, dramatically altering her facial structure and body contours. Born in 1874 in London, her condition advanced in adulthood, leading to significant enlargement of bones and soft tissue. By the 1920s, she began appearing in sideshows as a way to support her children after her husband's death, and she was labeled the ugliest woman in the world for promotional purposes. Medical observations noted pronounced jaw protrusion, thickened facial features, and a widened forehead, all indicative of the disorder. Bevan's case drew attention from both doctors and show promoters, highlighting the interplay between rare physiological conditions and social circumstances. Throughout her public appearances, she maintained routine schedules and participated in exhibitions across Britain. Records of her measurements and photographs from the era provide insight into acromegaly's progression and its visual effects on adults. She passed away in 1933, leaving a documented example of a rare endocrine condition intersecting with societal responses to unusual appearance. Number 14. Petrus Gonsalves. Hypertrichosis defined the life of Petrus Gonsalves, a nobleman born around 1537. Extensive hair growth covered his face and body, with the condition also appearing in several of his children. Gonsalves spent much of his life at European courts, where his appearance drew curiosity and attention from nobility and physicians. Court records describe careful documentation of his features, including hair patterns, body coverage, and facial structure. Contemporary physicians examined him to understand the unusual hair growth, while paintings and sketches preserved visual records. He married and fathered children who exhibited similar traits, adding to medical interest. Observations focused on distribution, thickness, and progression of hair over time. Contributing to early records of congenital hypertrichosis, Gonsalves participated in courtly life, with his presence noted in official accounts and portraits. His life offers a historical example of a genetic condition studied and recorded in the 16th century, with surviving visual documentation providing reference for modern medical analysis. Number 13. Barbara van Beck. Barbara van Beck, born in Germany in 1629, exhibited extensive hair coverage across her body. She became known in European courts, appearing before nobility and scholars as a human curiosity. Paintings and sketches from the period depict her hair distribution in detail, with attention to density and length. Observers recorded her posture, mobility, and daily habits during public appearances. Van Beck's hair growth pattern was consistent with hypertrichosis, a condition characterized by excessive body hair. Documentation includes descriptions of facial hair, limb coverage, and scalp hair. Often compared with others exhibiting the condition, she performed routines and sat for formal portraits, which were later studied for anatomical accuracy. Historical accounts detail her presence at multiple courts, highlighting systematic observation rather than personal narrative. Records preserved from the 17th century illustrate early attempts to classify unusual hair growth and maintain visual and descriptive archives. For later study, Van Beck's case provides one of the earliest documented examples of a woman with hypertrichosis appearing in public and scholarly records. Number 12. Alice Elizabeth Doherty. Born in Minnesota in 1887, Alice Elizabeth Doherty developed hypertrichosis lanuginosa, resulting in significant hair coverage across her face and body. The condition was evident from an early age, with facial hair thickening over childhood. Daugherty later appeared in public exhibitions, where her hair patterns were measured and photographed. Medical observers documented growth patterns, density, and texture, focusing on variations compared to other documented cases of hypertrichosis. Descriptions noted limb, facial, and torso hair coverage, along with skin texture and pigmentation. She traveled to multiple venues, with organizers maintaining schedules and records of her appearances. Daugherty's case contributed to early 20th century medical knowledge of rare hair disorders. Reports emphasized quantitative measurement, photographic documentation, and anatomical observation, providing structured insight into her condition. Observers maintained detailed notes regarding her mobility, posture, and hair distribution, without emphasizing narrative or personal experience. Her life illustrates the application of systematic observation and documentation in studying uncommon physical traits. Number 11. James Morris. James Morris, known as the Rubber Man, exhibited extreme skin elasticity due to Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Born in 1859, his condition allowed unusual stretching of skin and joints, which attracted attention in medical circles and public exhibitions. Observers measured the degree of flexibility, noting skin resilience and joint range of motion. Morris's appearances were scheduled and organized, with photographs and records maintained for reference accounts, describe specific tests performed to document his abilities, including stretching of limbs and skin manipulation. Physicians noted patterns in skin texture, elasticity, and connective tissue behavior, contributing to early research on rare connective tissue disorders. Morris traveled to multiple locations to demonstrate his condition, with records emphasizing physical documentation rather than personal narrative. Detailed measurements of joint flexibility and skin extension were preserved, providing a structured account of his abilities. His case offers insight into Ehlers-Danlos syndrome's physical manifestations and historical documentation practices. Number 10. Violet Jessop. Survival defined Violet Jessop's unusual experience aboard early 20th century ocean liners. Born in Argentina in 1887, she served as a stewardess on multiple ships, including the RMS Titanic, Britannic, and Olympic. During her tenure, she was present during the sinking of the Titanic in 1912, the Britannic in 1916, and experienced collisions and other maritime incidents without severe injury. Jessop's physical endurance and ability to navigate emergencies were noted in ship records and interviews. Reports from colleagues and crew documented her agility, reaction times, and procedural knowledge during crises. She maintained routine duties, performing tasks that required balance, coordination, and repetitive lifting in confined spaces. Written accounts, photographs, and testimony provide insight into her career across decades of maritime service. Her life demonstrates human interaction with high-risk environments, with detailed observations of her movements, work habits, and resilience noted in contemporary logs and later historical documentation. Jessop retired in the 1950s, leaving behind records of her maritime activity and first-hand descriptions of early 20th century ocean travel incidents. Let's move on. Number 9. Henrietta Lacks. Cells taken from Henrietta Lacks in 1951 became essential for biomedical research worldwide. Born in Roanoke, Virginia in 1920, she developed cervical cancer, which led to cell samples being harvested without her knowledge. These cells, later called HeLa cells, demonstrated remarkable proliferation outside the body, allowing them to be cultured repeatedly for laboratory study. Documentation includes tissue preparation, growth patterns, and experimental use in vaccines, virology, and cancer research. Lacks's genetic material facilitated studies on cell division, disease mechanisms, and medical interventions. Contemporary laboratory records describe cultivation techniques, storage, and observation of the cell's behavior under different experimental conditions. The cell's continued viability provided a constant reference for scientific replication and testing across institutions. Analysis focused on cellular morphology, division rates, and responses to chemical and environmental conditions, contributing to standardized biomedical protocols. Lax's case illustrates how a single patient's tissue became a foundation for extensive research, with archives preserving technical procedures, sample lineage, and laboratory observations without subjective interpretation. Number 8. Gottlieb Göttlich. Europe in the early 19th century observed unusual medical phenomena, including Gottlieb Göttlich, born in 1798. Assigned female at birth, surgical examination revealed male anatomy, making Göttlich a subject of public exhibitions and medical attention. Physicians documented anatomical features, hormonal observations, and skeletal measurements while maintaining detailed records of physical characteristics. Göttlich toured European cities, where sketches and reports noted posture, limb proportion, and secondary sexual characteristics. Medical journals described examination procedures, comparing Göttlich to contemporary anatomical norms. Observers recorded systematic measurements, including torso length, limb ratios, and musculature distribution, providing a structured understanding of intersex conditions. At the time, travel itineraries and exhibition schedules indicate careful organization, including documented interactions with scholars and physicians. Historical sources focus on anatomical observation rather than personal narrative. Göttlich's presence in exhibitions and medical study contributed to early intersex documentation, offering structured, detailed accounts of physical variation for researchers, artists, and physicians throughout Europe during the early 1800s. Number 7. Harry Raymond Eastlack Jr. Fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, FOP, defined the skeletal development of Harry Raymond Eastlack Jr., born in 1933 in Philadelphia. The rare disorder caused soft tissue to progressively ossify, restricting mobility and joint function over decades. Detailed medical records, X-rays, and photographs tracked heterotopic bone growth, documenting the sequential restriction of movement. Observations include range of motion measurements, skeletal deformity progression, and intervention attempts, all recorded systematically by physicians. Eastlack underwent routine evaluations, with notes on limb flexibility, posture, and skeletal anomalies preserved for study. Treatment protocols and physiotherapy interventions were carefully noted, emphasizing structural outcomes rather than personal experience. His condition provided significant insight into connective tissue disorders and ossification mechanisms, with posthumous skeletal preservation at the Mütter Museum for ongoing scientific observation. Data from decades of medical follow-up illustrate the gradual effect of FOP on skeletal anatomy, with documentation focusing on bone morphology, progression timelines, and comparative anatomical analysis. Eastlack's recorded history offers one of the most thorough technical studies of a rare genetic ossification disorder. Number 6. Lazarus Colloredo. Lazarus Colloredo was an Italian man known for extraordinary skin elasticity, caused by a rare connective tissue condition. Born around 1800, he displayed remarkable flexibility in joints and limbs, allowing him to bend and contort his body in ways that fascinated medical observers. Detailed measurements were taken of his range of motion, limb proportions, and skin stretch capacity, providing early documentation of connective tissue anomalies. Colloredo traveled in Europe, performing demonstrations for both physicians and the public. Observers recorded joint articulation, muscle response, and skeletal alignment, often comparing his abilities to typical anatomical norms. Sketches, written accounts, and measurements were maintained in medical archives. His physical attributes were studied systematically, emphasizing anatomical function and proportion rather than narrative or personal experience. Colloredo's documented flexibility contributed to understanding rare connective tissue disorders in the 19th century. Number 5. Francis O'Connor. Tongue and jaw development in Francis O'Connor created unusually structured oral features that drew attention in medical records. Observers measured jaw extension, oral cavity depth, and tongue flexibility, recording systematic observations for anatomical analysis. She appeared in controlled examination sessions that documented changes in tissue consistency and craniofacial alignment over time. Born in 1914, her physical traits were compared to standard craniofacial measurements, with detailed sketches and photographs preserved. Clinicians noted subtle variations in muscle attachment and joint articulation. Mobility of the jaw and tongue was tested repeatedly, and her responses to functional assessments were documented meticulously. Written reports focused strictly on anatomical variation, describing proportions, movement, and structure without narrative interpretation. Patterns of growth and tissue flexibility were cross-referenced with earlier medical observations. Producing a technical profile, O'Connor's documented features contributed to records of rare craniofacial anomalies, providing structured data for medical study and reference, detailing physical characteristics in objective, descriptive terms. And now get ready for number 4, Edward Mordache. A second, non-functional face appeared on the back of Edward Mordache's head, attracting medical and public curiosity in the 1800s. Contemporary reports detailed the unusual craniofacial duplication, describing facial symmetry, musculature, and skin texture. Measurements and anatomical sketches recorded the position and structure of the additional face. His birth in the 1820s coincided with early 19th century interest in rare anatomical phenomena. Physicians focused on skull morphology, soft tissue arrangement, and potential neurological implications. Observers documented hair distribution and cranial dimensions in detail. Exhibitions and written reports emphasized empirical observation, recording proportions and visible movement patterns of the secondary facial features. Mordache's case was included in journals as a reference for craniofacial anomalies, with detailed drawings and measurement tables preserved. No narrative commentary or personal details were included, leaving only anatomical and observational data. Reports captured technical information about cranial duplication, skeletal support, and soft tissue configuration, presenting one of the earliest structured accounts of a rare morphological condition. Number 3. Chang, the Chinese giant. Stature set Chang apart, creating logistical challenges for travel and exhibition. Born around 1841 in China, he reportedly exceeded 8 feet, prompting careful measurement of limb proportion, torso length, and skeletal alignment. Organizers documented photographs, schedules, and visitor interactions to track his public appearances. Observers noted posture, gait, and balance, highlighting adaptations necessary for his size. Measurements of joint articulation, arm span, and muscle mass were recorded for comparison with average anthropometric data. Descriptions focused on physical mechanics, skeletal structure, and proportions rather than personal experience. Notes included numerical dimensions, photographs, and sketches to provide reference for medical and anthropological study. Chang's height was consistently verified across exhibitions, emphasizing measurable differences without narrative interpretation. Detailed observations of movement, weight distribution, and skeletal proportion illustrated physiological challenges linked to extreme human stature. He performed in multiple venues, with attendance records showing public fascination intersecting with systematic measurement and documentation of unusual human proportions. Number 2. Ella Ewing. Crowds recorded measurements as Ella Ewing moved through sideshows, with photographs capturing posture, limb length, and skeletal alignment. Born in Missouri in 1872, she reached a remarkable height of over 8 feet. Observers described joint angles, arm span, and gait mechanics while comparing proportions to normative data. Medical and exhibition records documented vertebral alignment, shoulder breadth, and leg-to-torso ratios. Descriptions include details of weight distribution and musculoskeletal adaptations required for extreme stature. Ewing's skeletal structure was measured repeatedly, with notes maintained alongside visual records to provide reference points for observers. Reports emphasized precise measurements of length, proportion, and joint range. Observers maintained schedules to ensure consistent documentation across venues. Written accounts focused on the quantifiable aspects of her height and structure, highlighting physical dimensions without narrative commentary or moral interpretation. She moved through multiple exhibitions, and the preserved data provides objective insight into extreme human growth patterns and anatomical proportionality. Number 1. Jim Porter. Acromegalic gigantism defined Jim Porter's physical characteristics, with reports describing enlarged hands, facial features, and skeletal dimensions. Born in 1811, his height reached nearly 7 feet 8 inches, with limb proportions documented across multiple exhibitions. Physicians and show organizers recorded detailed measurements of torso length, arm span, joint articulation, and facial structure. Photographs and sketches preserved from the period provide reference points for skeletal anomalies and acromegalic growth patterns. Observers monitored posture, mobility, and functional capabilities, noting physical adaptations to extreme stature. Reports emphasized empirical measurement, with numerical data for skeletal dimensions and soft tissue enlargement. Skeletal and muscular development was recorded over time to document progression. Exhibition records focused on quantifiable observations and public presentation logistics. All notes preserved objective details, with no moral, motivational, or personal commentary. Porter's measurements and observations contribute a detailed, technical account of acromegalic gigantism, highlighting skeletal enlargement, joint proportion, and anthropometric variation. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to see more unbelievable stories. Comment below to tell us which story surprised you the most, and share it with friends who love discovering the unusual. Liking the video helps bring more content like this and keeps the channel active. Your support makes a real difference and allows these fascinating accounts to reach more people. Thank you for watching, for commenting, and for sharing your thoughts. Every action you take keeps the stories alive and inspires the next round of amazing discoveries.